Well, howdy. You got mighty close to Afrodo country, where folks go to decide if a book's worth reading over second breakfast, or they need to hop on that highway down to Mount Doom. Now, I know you're wondering why I stopped you, and I promise, it ain't nothing bad, not yet at least. I just like to give out-of-towners a once-over before they get to go too close to Afrodo country. Make sure everything's in order, as it were. Now, ain't nothing to worry about. Let's see your ID here. Looks like you were published on February 28th, 2023 to a Natasha Preston, is it? Interesting. Not bad. I hear she has some books on the New York Times bestseller list. Although folks in Afrodo country will let you know, that don't mean diddly squat around here. Too many bad books end up on there, if you ask me. Now I see she's got some other books under her belt. Tough woman to wrangle so many paperbacks. 10 total, as of this time of the stop. Oh, I can barely handle one. Now, ain't much else to see on here, although you do got some credentials here. Not sure I'd get too close to Afrodo country with those reviews, and if you don't mind me saying, by the look of you, I'm not sure you'd fit in. I mean, just look at that cover of yours. Now, I ain't saying that's bad, but it ain't nothing to be going around bragging about either, if you ask me. I mean, you get your point across for sure. There's that dark tone for the setting, the island and the amusement park. It does sell the horror tone you're no doubt going for. But it ain't something that catches the attention of folks around you, if you ask me. You exist, and that's about all that can be said about your cover. It won't rightly get you in trouble, but you ain't gonna be standing out from no crowds either. Now, let's have a talk about that plot of yours. Now, I know folks ain't heard the synopsis count of this month not getting a TBR, but we can't expect folks to go in blind with this review. So let's go ahead and get some things out of the way, will we? Jagged Island, a private amusement park for the very rich, or the very influential. Liam, James, Will, Ava, Harper, and Paisley, social media influencers with millions of followers, have been invited for an exclusive weekend before the park opens. They'll create posts and videos for their channels and report every second of their VIP treatment. When the teens arrived, they're stunned. Their resort is even better than they imagined. Their hotel rooms are unreal. The park's themed rides are incredible, and the island is hauntingly beautiful. Their jam-packed schedule seems to cover every moment of their visit, but soon they realize that something's missing. Getting off the island alive. And I suppose that's about as fair of a synopsis as you can get. Ain't much for me to offer that would really prepare folks for what's going down. Just, if you don't mind me saying though, that read on the back there, it ain't very well done. I mean, listen to yourself. There's only one thing missing: getting off the island alive. That ain't really something you're missing. You don't miss something until you've had it and lost it, if you get my drift. That's just one of those things that ain't planned, you know? Or ain't on the schedule, you could say. If you want my opinion, you should have said something like that. But in any case, anything more to say for yourself? Any more details to add for our fair audience here? Well, I suppose I can't help but respect that brevity. Ain't no more context needed, really, seeing as you ain't much more beyond the 10. Now, I gots to be honest with you. I don't think you'll be wanting to get too much closer. Taking a look at what you got to offer, I don't think you'll enjoy yourself in Afrodo country. Now, don't be taking that attitude with me. It just becomes a little obvious once you look past the cover. I mean, your story ain't much to look at. You lack any real detail. Everything's sort of skimmed over and half explained. And you're treating the setting as if you fully realized it and it's exciting. Except you ain't. Now, you had a good premise, isolating teen influences on an island, and then releasing a slasher. And, Lord knows, it's tough to write a slasher film now that everyone's got them fancy phones and computers within arm's reach at all times. I don't fault you none there, especially when you force them not to have these phones. But it's all the other things that you got going for you. You ain't got no soul in this book. You got scenes where characters are roaming the amusement park, having fun and living life. Yeah, we ain't know what they're doing. You only get one experience, and it's just so you could barely foreshadow what's gonna happen soon. Which in hindsight, if you think about it, that scene ain't make no sense because the twist of who the killer is don't line up with what happened in the scene. But even the important parts of the book ain't got much going for it, and it makes for bad reading. Like, look at this here. One of your characters are dying. The scene is meant to be tense and unnerving, maybe a little bit tragic. But you only give the readers 2 or 3 sentences of the event actually happening. Ain't nothing unnerving about that except maybe blinking and missing it. You wash your hands of the scene almost as quickly as the killer would have had to wash their hands when you think about the twist that comes later. Your readers ain't got time to be scared, to be worried with this kind of writing. Well, that ain't all that's wrong, mind you. Your characters ain't much to attach to either. The first 2 that bite it ain't got much personality, which is fair, seeing as they ain't around for very long in the story. But then your other characters ain't much likable or memorable either. Harper, our book talker. Now, this is the one I was excited about when I read. Fellow book talker, I expected to see many things said about them. Except they don't really have much of a personality beyond liking books and having controlling parents. And even the liking books thing is pretty vague. What type of books does she like? Is she a fan of this genre or this genre? No, she just likes books. That's her personality. Likes books. Hell, at least with Nina Hill, you got a good sense of the character actually liking certain books. Whereas this one, she just likes books. Most people like eating too. Ain't tell you what their favorite food is. Reeve and Gibson. Now these are 2 characters that ain't influences, but they don't get too much about them none either, which is frankly egregious, considering how relevant they end up being. Of course, that's a discussion for later. And our main character, this young gal here named Paisley, man, I ain't not fond of her. Of course, I get you want her to come across as smart and collected, but she ain't none of those things. Her logic ain't make no sense, solving her mystery solely through wide assumptions and wild speculations with no real evidence. Really, you're telling me she figures out who the killer is cause his employee file is missing its picture, and she figures out that killer is the son of another character because they share a last name. Which wouldn't be too rough of an idea if that last name were pretty unique. Like, I don't know, By the Z or Dankworth. The kind of name that you would see and immediately associate with a specific person. But the name they share is Jenkins. Jenkins. You got any idea how many people have the last name of Jenkins in this world? It's the 95th most popular surname in the United States of America, and 97th most popular across the pond over there. And Paisley's the worst kind of folk to be in a dangerous situation with, because her calm demeanor and her supposedly rational mind, well, she'd be the kind of person who'd start a cult who kills out of paranoia, all because she thinks she knows everything, when in reality, she don't know squat.
It's against God's will. Don't you know that by now? Haven't I proven myself again and again and again?
If you ask me, I think it says something when one character I ain't meant to like is the one that's talking the most sense throughout the book. See, there's the Saver Girl. Now, she's clearly meant to be the alpha bitch, as you would put it. Rarely proven helpful, talking down to others, and generally disliked by everyone in the story. Therefore, you're meant to dislike her as well. But, of course, despite being shown as hysterical, she's the only one talking sense throughout the book. Like, she's the only one against y'all's choice to constantly split up and go back into the park, where you know a killer is on the loose. She calls you out constantly for changing your plans on a whim, and repeatedly shows your assumptions have flaws that are, well, if you ask me, right reasonable. Honestly, if Paisley wasn't protected by the narrative, Ava would have been completely right. I'm just saying, if you want to make an alpha bitch character, you can't have her be more logical and likable than your final goal. And well, we need to talk about that ending. I know you ain't fancy this talk, reckoning cause all the spoilers it's gonna have. In fact, if you're not wanting spoilers, anyone watching this interaction best be moving on about this time. Anyone still here? Well, can't say I didn't warn ya. Well, frankly, the twist ain't make no sense. I mean, Liam and Harper as the killers. Feels like you started with one twist and decided at the last minute it was too easy to guess. I mean, none of the hints that it's Liam even come till near the end, and you can't call him talking about how his mom gets talked down to as a twist, seeing as more than one character does it, and ain't no one comments on how they don't see the action. His motivation ain't make much sense either. It's got the feel of an entitled brat stomping and hollering about a folk taking the last toy on a toy shelf. I mean, I get what you're going for, but it ain't a strong motive. And Harper is even less so. She joins the plan to kill a bunch of folks who ain't never done nothing to her cause her parents are too controlling. If you ask me, this don't make too much sense, to be frank. Why does that mean she wants to kill? Become a Bonnie and Clyde, as she put it so eloquently. This here has even more the energy of a brat throwing a tantrum than Liam, but removing what little nuance there was to his motivation. If you ask me, as obvious as it was near the end, Reeve and Gibson being the killers would have made much more sense. They knew the island best, they have the know-how how to get around, and one of them was always absent when a killing was happening, and it would explain why some oddities were occurring. Like how they claimed they'd be repairing the Wi-Fi, only they never seemed to try. Or why the killer spared Reeve in one scene for no adequately explained reason, just to kill someone else on the other side of the island. Maybe it's a bit obvious, but at least it would have made sense. You feel me? In any case, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give you this. I'm afraid it's the best I can do. I mean, your plot was lazy, you got no real thrills, your characters ain't worth much, and the twist will leave even a starving hog unsatisfied. Heavens to Betsy, don't get me started on that ending of your book. It's a shame, because you really had "and then there were none" mixed with "one of us is lying" vibe from your back. But in the end, you're just like a poor clone of Scream, made by the Asylum, of course. So I'm afraid when it comes to the directions of where you're going, I'm gonna have to recommend you sending you on your way down that highway of Mount Doom. You're gonna want to take Route 2 onto Highway 3 and just follow that for a few miles. You'll start to see the signs. That'll take you where you need to go. Now, no need to be getting all emotional. Sorry to turn you away like this, but it's best you be getting along now. I'm sure you got an audience somewhere, and I ain't much one to judge, but you just ain't fit for this place. That being said, you should be getting along your way. I got plenty of adventures to go take in Afrodo country, all of them worth having, even some of the bad ones. Although I might reconsider going down yours. That being said, see you later, folks.